Hey guys, tonight, and I will show you guys how I make my famous bolognese. Starting off, diced onions in butter and olive oil. Let those become translucent. Step 2, chop up some celery. And you don't have to wait until the onions are translucent. You can go ahead and add those. And mix in. And then we're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to this mixture. I go with the onions first because I like getting the juices out of the onions separately. Okay, next we're going to add a little bit of garlic. Got these imported garlic from Spain, very fresh. Get them at your local fresh market if you live in South Florida. Now, don't have a garlic grinder, not a problem. I will show you how to do this. Okay, taking a chunk, a little garlic clove here. We are going to put our knife flat like so and smash it real hard. Then you can take the skin right off. And we're going to make a nice minced garlic. Skin comes off. You have this like full kind of garlic clove here. And we're going to smash it again. Make it flat. Little bit of salt. And mince it. The salt keeps it all together, so it's not going all over the place. And there you have it. If you don't have a garlic crusher, you could get really lazy and use garlic powder, but I like fresh minced garlic. So now we've combined our garlic, celery, and onion. I used a Vidalia onion here with some butter and olive oil and some salt. And we're not going to let that caramelize, but we're going to let that become closer to translucent. Not fully translucent yet. Just mix that right in on medium heat. Medium to high heat. If you're in a rush, high heat. Next step, as we get closer to the celery and the onions being translucent, we are going to add some grated carrots. Now, it's better to grate your own carrots. Just a handful of pre-grated carrots is fine. And you are starting to make what's called the mirepoix. Just add some carrots in there, mix them in. So now we have our vegetables. Our mirepoix is translucent, and we have seasoned our meats. We have 1/2 spicy ground pork, 1/2 ground beef, about a 1/2 pound each, and we're going to put first the ground pork, because it takes longer to cook, into our mix here, and we're going to break that up into little pieces and mix it in until it starts to brown. So now we have our ground pork has started browning. We're going to add our ground beef. Repeat the same thing. Notice we're breaking it up into small pieces. We're really going to let it cook. So now both of our meats have browned nicely. You can see the juice from the sausage and the beef, which is bringing Renzo over here because he loves the smells. And we're waiting for our date to get here, but in the meantime, we're gonna add some chicken stock to let that cook. And we're still working with pretty low heat. This is not a quick process. If you want it to taste right, you want the lowest heat possible. But if you're in a rush, like I said, you can use higher heat. But we just want to give that a little bath of chicken stock, not too much, just to give it some liquid and some more flavor. And we're going to mix that chicken stock in. The next part, we'll be adding some wine to this. Okay, next step, we've brought that whole mixture, which smells delicious by the way, to a slight boil. As you can see, the chicken stock kind of boiling in there. And we're gonna add some red wine. Now, obviously I don't drink anymore. If you're not comfortable, if you're in recovery like me, and you don't wanna use wine, feel free to just use water or chicken stock, it's just fine. There's a big debate out there about whether bolognese should be done with white or red wine. I have used both, and my taste, I prefer using red wine. Keep in mind, you're cooking off all the alcohol. So if you're in recovery like me and you're using it to make your sauce, don't worry about it. It's completely okay. Let your date drink the wine, just don't drink the wine. But we're gonna go ahead and the wine. And you're gonna give it probably about a third of the bottle. So the key to any Italian sauce, as many of you know, are good tomatoes. You've got to get good tomatoes. I can't emphasize this enough. So we have San Marzano tomatoes imported from Italy, and we have peeled tomatoes. They come right out of the can with all the juice. And we're just gonna take our hands and just kind of clump them together and just kind of get messy here and squish them a little bit. Get the juices out of them. You still want to leave some clumps, and I will do this with one hand because gotta help you guys out here. But yeah, we're just trying to clump these tomatoes. You don't want them to be too pureed, but make sure they're nice and squished. So we have our sauce mixture over here. That wine has reduced in with the chicken stock a little bit. It's still on very low heat. It's come to a nice little boil, but it's started to reduce. Now we've been cooking for about, I don't know, 35, 45 minutes or so. Still got plenty of work to do. And we are going to add our tomatoes at this stage to the mixture. All of those in there. And we're going to mix that in. So this is what our sauce is starting to look like. You can see the little boiling action starting. It's still pretty darn liquid, so we need all that wine and tomatoes and stock to keep reducing. But we're gonna add, this is my secret here, a tad, and by a tad I mean no more than a half or maybe 2 teaspoons, half tablespoon, maybe 2 teaspoons of sugar, a little sugar. And that's it. Mix that in. After you've added the sugar and mixed it in, Renzo's getting more and more excited. You can put a cover on it, and depending on how high your heat is, it's going to take quite a bit of time to cook. I mean, obviously faster heat, you're going to cook it much faster, but let all those juices stay in there and just let the sauce work its magic. So we're working on our sauce here. As you can see, it's starting to come together nicely. And what I had done was put a little lid on it just to let it cook while my company was on its way. So what you do while you're waiting for it to cook, well, you can make a nice little salad. We got a little caprese salad, just some balsamic olive oil. We'll throw a little cilantro in there. A little bit of cilantro over top of it. And just sprinkle that on there. And then I have some balsamic glazed with some fig. And we're just going to spray that on. You can have a look at that. And there's your salad for the meal. And you can do things like set the table. I got a lot of shit because apparently my date doesn't like cilantro and I totally forgot about it. So don't put cilantro on the caprese salad. Use parsley if she doesn't like cilantro. But we have our sauce and it's starting to look very good. Let's get a nice shot of that. It's starting to thicken up nicely here. We're gonna thicken it up a little more. And we're gonna add a little bit of tomato paste. About a spoonful. Put that in there. And mix that in. And that'll thicken it up. And then, you can go ahead and just put the lid back on for a few more minutes. Alright, so we've brought our sauce here to a little bit of a boil. So, and we're going to add a little bit of milk. Just a little.
You should probably mention that for your
and
video.
some butter. And we're going to turn up the heat a little bit. So mix that in. Add a little bit of butter. Renzo's really excited, but we've got our sauce here, which we put back to a lower heat, Renzo. And it's thick. Let's have a look at the sauce. See how nice and thick that is. It's starting to smell really good. So we'll put that to a really low simmer. We got our boiling water, and we got our bucatini. And we're going to cook that. We salted the water. We're going to cook that for about 9 minutes. All right.
Where am I going?
So we have our pasta, which has been drained and is ready. Here.
Everywhere I go, they be like, oh, so bad. Everywhere I go, they be like, oh, so bad. Everywhere I go, they be like, oh, so bad.
We use bucatini, and it's nice and thick.
Break it down like
And then we're gonna add some sauce.
what's that sound? Come on now. Just put your
The good thing about this is it keeps very well in the freezer. Don't want too much sauce. The sauce is the ketchup on the burger. And then we're gonna grate some fresh lettuce.
Wrong cheese.
How many Parmesan? Fresh Parmesan. Wrong cheese. That's why I have a great assistant here.
Cilantro, basil, mozzarella, parmesan, same thing.
Tell me how much you want. Tell me when.
Oh, no, it's like that. That's good.
That's good? That's enough?
No, like the. I like cheese.
And a little bit